Right. Hi, everyone. So hope you are doing well. A message for you. Next week, we'll be having some fun event. We'll be having an online quiz next week. So for the 2022, right, badge also, we have organized that. So they'll be having on next Monday. The next week, there will be like 15 questions, right? A kind of a quiz, right? Because nowadays we are staying at home, right? We are missing so much of fun activities, right, in the class. So next week, so we have the class, right, guys? So we have the class like 1 hour, right? We can utilize for this. So there would be like I would say like 10%. Sorry, a 10 question, right? Maybe you don't have like much. I would say subject related question, right? I cannot prepare much because you have only at the latter part of the first lesson. So then there would be like 10 questions, right? Kind of a general knowledge questions, question from sports, politics, economics, current trends, and all. Right? And also for you, it's subject related only 5 questions. Because only you have the lesson number 1. For the 2020 batch, the other way around, right? So they are like a 10 question from like subject related question and 5 questions from current trends, question from general knowledge, sports, entertainment. Right. So those are like so how's the combination? We'll see, right? So we'll see how it's gonna work. You can prepare yourself. Not you have to prepare. You have to just be update what's happening around you, right? That is why, guys, the business environment, right? Because it's always changing. It's a dynamic business environment. So what important for you is adapting to the change, and it should not let stop what you were doing. So that is why in the businesses we have to continue with the business operations. So we have to adapt to the new changes. Right. So with that message, let me start today's part. Yes, guys. So this is your content, right? For today's session, the business environment internally and externally. You know how we can divide those. In that manner, we have covered the internal business environment, right? Just for a quick recap, for you to tell about the internal business environment. Right now, it doesn't matter, guys, whether the things belong to internal or external business environment. The things are changing. That's what we know as the dynamic business environment. Dynamic business environment. We never know, but because you guys have just after all of us, right? You never thought maybe in your grade 9 or 8, so you have to participate for the online classes. And we never know that we have to continue this platform until end of 2023, until your A-level exam, right? All Zoom classes. We never know, right? So that is why the things are changing internally and externally. So what matter for us as a business is how you're gonna face those. So that is why. So the change is constant, guys. Clear? Change is constant. Things are not constant. Now, what is constant is the change. වෙනස් වීම තමයි නියත. Right? හැමදේම වෙනස් වෙනවා කියලා දන්නවා. වෙනස් වීම තමයි නියත. The change is constant. Right? So things are not constant. The change is constant. So that is why it could be happen internally, externally. Now, how do you refer the internal business environment? The forces or groups or the conditions which affect inside the business to your business operations. Like, so under that we talk about the groups or the forces could be the owners, managers, employees, And also you had the conditions. You had the business, the organization structure. Along with that, we discussed about organization resources and the culture. Now, those are the things could be affect to the internal business environment, which is inside the business. Even though it's internal, it is also constant to change. Correct? Now, the owners might withdraw the funds from the business and might invest in another business. Managers, maybe the most experienced manager, will leave from your organization and going to join. It's happened, right? It's not a unusual thing in the business world. Because why? The most talented employees or managers been hired by another organization. You might see, right, in the practical world, right? All the key positions. So they try to hire. So likewise, maybe the employees. So they are you're going to the work as a manager. So you see all not working and going on a strike. So likewise, you cannot predict those. You can predict. So those are the guys, the groups or the forces. So there are six. Most of the six criteria comes under the internal business environment. Internal business environment. Correct. So likewise, here you have the conditions. We talk about the structure. We talk about the resources. We talk about the culture. So that is also going to impact the internally within inside the business. Correct. Now today's our plan would be to talk about the external business environment. As you know, the external business environment, we have the task environment and which is known as the immediate environment as well, plus the macro business environment. So there are some variables that we have to discuss under the external business environment. Right. Now guys, remember, when you come to internal business environment, you are being able to capture. So there are that's why now in every situation, for example, we've been to say that even in the even in a dark cloud, we can see a silver line, right? So likewise, in these opportunities, we cannot exactly say it is going to be an opportunity or a threat for an organization, but it's basically based on the situation. Now, something like Zoom, right now, this COVID is or this pandemic is kind of a favorable thing for the Zoom organization because their share prices have been increased. But maybe the tourism industry, so all the hotels, so their shares have been decreased or the value has been dropped. So likewise, so internally, you having the strength and weaknesses. Internally there could be favorable, right? Internally there could be favorable conditions for you, and also there could be unfavorable or disadvantaged things arises within the organization, right? So that part I'll take you separately once I discuss this. Task environment plus the macro business environment. Right. Now, along with that, guys, something to remember. Now, when you say the internal business environment, most of the time, there is a chance for you can control those variables. There's a chance you can control. You can control the managers, right? If the managers are not performing, right, you can recruit a new set of managers. And your employees are not performing, yes. You can change the organizational structure, no issue, right? Managers, deputy managers, assistant managers, executives, we talk about the structure, you can change the structure. And resources, yes, you can acquire new resources. And plus, just give me 1 second, guys. Correct. Guys, if you want to drop a message, let me change because there are two my accounts. Let me change that. There's an account called My DS Class, right? So I'll in brackets, I'll write inbox your questions. Inbox me. Right, guys, now when you check the participant list, you can see a participant called My DS Class. So that is where I can see the screen. So please drop your messages to this part, guys. Please drop your message to that part. Correct. Good. So that's a small reminder for you. Correct. Now, this internal business environment, I would say you can control up to some level, right? Or maybe fully you can control, right? But when you come to this external business environment, I would not say you cannot control 100%, but there's a condition. Let me take you through, right? So that would be provide us the start for the immediate environment. Right. Now, this is just a quick recap on what we discussed previous week, right? So based on the internal business environment. Now, let me take you through the today's session, the business environment, which is the task environment. Task environment. Task environment. Because why? The external business environment, as you can see, there are two parts, right? One is the task or the immediate, and the macro business environment, right? So let me write that somewhere here. So we have one part called task or the immediate environment, and the next thing is the macro business environment. So I'll start with the task environment. Task environment. Or another word that you would say immediate, right? Immediate. Now, guys, listen well. So, because it's important that you know the both of the meanings. There could be some similar words for some concepts. So, when you know the all the terms which is being used for the same concept, sometimes in the exam they use another word. So maybe you know the concept, but you do not know the similar word. So in that manner, you will be end up with the trouble. Correct. Now, I would say the task business environment is anyway in the outside of the business. You have to agree with me. Now, here we have the ABC business. Right now, within the business organization, you have internal. Now, task environment, something which is in the outside of the business. Do you have to agree with me? Outside of the business, right? Task environment. Even though they are in outside, they can influence a lot to the business. So now this is the task. They can influence a lot to the business. Now let me explain in another manner. I would say for the business, right? They can you know for a fact that the external business environment you cannot control 100%. External, you cannot control 100%. Now, for example, when you say external business environment, two consists task and the macro. Correct? So macro is something you cannot do. Now, for example, can you change the law as an organization? Can you change the natural environment? Can you change the population of a country? Can you change the technology? Can you change the social and cultural? So I would say as a business, it is very difficult for you to control. But this task or immediate environment, I would say, yes, to some extent you can control, not 100%. Because your internal business environment, you can control, right? I would say 100%. But here, not the 100%, but up to some extent. Now, what are the examples that we can say? Customers. So customers comes under the task business environment, right? You have the suppliers. You have the competitors. You have the potential investors. And also you have I would say substitute producers. I'll explain that part. What do you mean by substitute product? Correct. Now shall we take one by one? Customers. Yes, they are in the outside of the business, but still can influence a lot to the business. That is the core meaning of the task environment. You are in the outside. Here, you are outside, but you can influence a lot. we know that the figure, right, in your income statement, right, you have something called sales. This is the amount that you manage everything, right? So you deduct the cost of goods sold, you deduct the other expenses. So who brings this amount? Sales. Who's the customers? So in that manner, yes, they are in the outside, but they can influence a lot. So having a satisfied set of customers to provide you a good opportunity for you. Having a well-spending customers, which the purchasing capacity is high. So likewise, even though they are in the, I would say, external business environment, they are trying to influence a lot to the business. So it could provide you opportunities or threats to the business, threats. Now, leaving a set of customers would be a definitely threat for you. And try to attract new customers, provide you a great opportunity for the business. So likewise, if you talk about the suppliers, yes, still, you know, for the cost of the goods sold or for your production. Now let's imagine if you could remember the incident happened in the Suez Canal, right? Suez if you watch the news. So I always recommend for you to watch the news, guys. Then only you know the recent updates, because the business world is updating day by day, right? So in that case, all of the supply chain, right, stuck throughout a couple of weeks. So the suppliers were not in a position to provide the required materials on time. Now imagine that you are not in a position to satisfy your customers. So there's a direct relationship. So the suppliers are not providing the quality goods. I would say like this: right good in right quantity at right price at the right time. So the kind of 4R, there's 4R concept, right? The right good at the right time, at the right quality, at the right price. If the suppliers are not providing you, you'll be end up with a lot of trouble. So then only you are not in a position to satisfy your customers. Imagine how impact, even though they are in the outside, they can impact a lot. Now imagine they are not providing you quality goods. What will happen? Now, in a business process, there's something called, we discussed the business process, right? Input, process, output. Now, if you want to bake a cake with a quality, right, a quality cake, you have to include quality ingredients. Likewise, if you want to have a quality output, obviously, as for your input, your materials, you have a very quality materials. So then who provide materials for you, for your business, is the suppliers. So it is more important that you manage your suppliers, right? So if they try to fulfill those things, right good, right quantity, at the right price, at the right time. Now imagine they are delaying your supplies. So the quality is there, but they are always delaying the suppliers. So you are not in a position to fulfill your orders on time. What will happen if you could not fulfill the orders on time? You lose your customers. So the customer satisfaction drops. So likewise, there's a interrelationship between those task environment factors. Everything matters a lot to the business, even though they are in the outside. Right? And also to some extent you can control. Now, for example, let's say one of a supplier is not providing you the quality materials, not providing at the right time. What we can do? You can just stop the orders. Okay, say, okay, look here, we'll be moving to another supplier. We don't need your, what you call the materials. So likewise, for the customers, you can control the customer. And if you study economics, the demand theory, right? You can increase or you can decrease the prices. You can provide discounts. So then you can attract more customers. So likewise, we know for a fact we cannot 100% control, but I would say to some extent you can control. To some extent you have been able to control, right? So, okay, what else? We have the competitors. Now, guys, there's a clear difference. Now, there's another part called substitute producers. Now, let me take you to the difference. Guys, please listen. When you say competitors, are the person who produce similar goods. Now, for example, let's say I'm using a Atlas marker pen. Now, imagine I would say the Richard company also producing the same marker pen. So then I would say that's a competitor. So who are providing or who are producing a similar goods, Now, in that manner, there's a clear competition because why? Because then only they also try to attract. Now, if you could remember the concept of the market share, we have discussed in the subtopic the goals and aims of the business. Correct? Now, in that manner, they are in a competition to attract more customer share, right? More market share. For example, 60% out of the market, right? I would say, let's make this as somewhere around like 30%, right? So somewhere around like 40%, somewhere around like 20%. Again, then let's say there's another 10%. So all are competitors, all are competing to the same set of customers. Right now, for example, for 1 million now in Sri Lanka, right? How is the population? For example, now it's 21.5 million. It's now close to 22 million. Right? Million 21කටත් වැඩි. ඒ කියන්නේ කෝටි 2කටත් වැඩි. නේ කෝටි 2යි තව 1 million. So 21 million around population, right? 21 million population. I mean 21 million හැමෝම they need, right? They consume goods and services. So that is the customer base. For example, a product like I would say toothpaste. Everyone use product like I would say another type of essential good, right? So this is the customer base. So in that manner, they are trying to attract the more customer base. Then only they can expand the market share. So likewise, there would be a lot of competition. Now for that, let me share you one interesting story. I'm not sure whether I have shared this with you. One of a great example that a business could control the competitors. Now, if you could remember, there was a soap brand called Wonderlight. I don't know whether you have heard those Wonderlight, right? What happened was this Wonderlight, it was a local brand, local company. They were like the market leader, right? When it comes to the washing powder and the soap, right? The Wonderlight, something like Sunlight. Now, Sunlight is something multinational company, which is the Unilever, right? Unilever company. Now, this Wonderlight is a local company, local manufacturer. So they, because the Wonderlight was in the market share, right? They had the highest market share. So the Sunlight made a plan. What was the plan? They tried to create the artificial demand. So they were purchasing Wonderlight products. Imagine the situation. It's not the customers who are purchasing everything. They go to the supermarket, go to every retail shops and purchasing, right? Purchasing the Wonderlight products. Now, what is the message that Wonderlight is getting? They will think, okay, our product is selling so fast. We are, achieving the sales target quickly. We are now there's shortage in the production, right? Because the people demand more product, right? අපි සතියෙන් වෙනදා sell වෙන එක දැන් දවස් දෙකකින් sell වෙනවා. එතකොට කඩෙන් අහන තව products එන්නේ නැද්ද කියලා. So likewise, the Wonderlight was thought it is increasing their demand. So they have great sales, but actually what is happening? It's not it was an artificial demand created by the competitor. So then they didn't know aware about that, the Wonderlight. So they try to expand their production in order to meet the increased demand. So they got a lot of loans, they applied for loans, they increased the capacities, right? They hired new employees, they established new factories, machineries and all. So then suddenly the Sunlight stopped purchasing their product because they are not in a position to purchase their product every day because they created just a short period of time and artificial demand. So then now the Wonderlight is realizing why? Because we have now expand the capacity, but we have now less sales. Now only they are having the actual sales. So then the Wonderlight was struggled because they have expanded the business, have taken so many loans, so they were struggling to pay those loans. Why? There's no actual sales. It was an artificially created one. So likewise, so they were into bankrupt. So likewise, finally, the Sunlight bought the company. So likewise, there are so many things when you come to competition. There's high competition, right, outside the inside or outside the business world. Right? That is why the people, the organization are doing so many new innovative things in order to face the competition. So otherwise, it will be out of the competition. Now imagine this education system, so there's a high competition, right? You need to be very up to date, right? You need to be adapt to the new changes. Otherwise, you will be out of competition. Correct. So that is the reason. Now, when you come to business, it is important that you make a lot of new innovative things. You make the research and developments. Now, that is why always let's imagine the mobile phone companies, right? Every year they try to release their new version. Right? Now, if you say Samsung company, Apple, and also try to release the new one with new features, adding somehow very new features. So try to showcase that we have the latest product to the customers. We are doing the research and development. So likewise, to win the competition, it's pretty much important. If you do not consider about the competition, you will be, out of the competition. Now, that is what something like the company Nokia happened, right? If you know about Nokia, in 2000, like I would say before 2004, right? 2000 to 2004, it was a market leader for the mobile production, right? None of the competitors were not able to reach for their level. But they were thought that none of the competitors can never surpass us. So then we are the market leaders. They did not focus on the new innovations. So in that manner, slowly the other companies, something like Apple, they came up with the concept of smartphone, introducing the a smartphone concept, and also then Samsung copied that. So then suddenly, or I would say, time to time, so then the Nokia went out of the competition because they were not focusing on the couple of innovative products. So that is why it's really important, because a market leader. Now, if you see the rest of the brand, there was a brand called Sony Ericsson, Motorola, and also there were phone calls. I would say. There's BlackBerry. So likewise, there was so many, market leaders in the mobile phone industry alongside the Apple and Samsung. But now, if you consider the fact, it's those two companies. So that is why to win the competition. So that is why in a business organization, it's important that you go for the competition. Right. Correct. Now, what do you mean by this potential investors? Potential investors. Now, guys, before that, I'll come to substitute product. Now, there's a clear difference between a competitor and a substitute producer. Now, if you take Samsung phones and the Apple phones, those are like competitors because they are producing similar product. If you take Pepsi Cola and Coca-Cola, Dialog, Hutch, right? HNB Bank, Sampath Bank, commercial. Those are like similar service or product they are producing. So those are like competitors. But sometimes now, for example, rather than drinking a tea, right? Instead of drinking a tea, you can have a coffee. But tea is not something similar to coffee, but it's just kind of a substitute. Instead of a tea, you can drink. No issue with that. So likewise, the substitute producers. Now, for example, let's say now there's a competition between the furniture industry and the aluminium industry. Now most of the time, the window fittings, right, door fittings, they try to put in the aluminium, where the furniture manufacturers are struggling. So likewise, now if you consider that, I would say the aluminium cupboards are there, right, along with the furniture cupboards. Now there's a competition, but those are not similar products at all. But instead of the timber fittings, right, you can have the aluminium fittings for your windows. So they are not similar products, but still they could be a threat, right? Substitute producers. So that is one. For example, the best example I would say something like it's a bread, right? The bread and paratha, I would say. So those are like not similar products, but could be a right. If you could not find paratha or either the bread, you can eat the rest good, right? No issue. So that's a substitute producer. So that is also providing a great could be opportunity or threat to your organization. Correct. Now talking about the potential investors, guys. The meaning of the potential investors is that let's imagine that you have some sort of fund, you have some sort of excess funds with you. Now you are looking for an investment opportunity, right, to invest in the business. So that is why because now when you say the shareholder is an existing investor, I would say. If you take a shareholder, he's already an owner, right? Existing owner. But if you consider potential investor, he's looking for some investment opportunities. So he's looking forward to invest in your company. Now, for example, you are looking in the Colombo stock market to purchase some of the shares of a best performing companies. So that is why the potential investors are not the existing, I would say, investors. They are looking forward to invest you in the business. So it's important that we attract the potential investors. But sometimes it could be like this. The potential investors could be a threat sometime. Maybe they go and invest in your competitor. Now, for example, let's say one of a foreign investor is looking forward to invest in the telecommunication industry in Sri Lanka. So basically internet and telephone services. So he's in the opinion of whether to invest in the Dialog company or to purchase the shares of the Dialog or the Mobitel. Now, if you are the Dialog company, if this potential investor invested in the Mobitel, right, a higher amount, a good investment, so that is going to be a threat for us, right? Because with the huge investment, the Mobitel can expand their businesses. So it's kind of a threat. So likewise, if we can attract the potential investor for us, let's say we are the Dialog company, then whether we can attract the investments from this potential investor, so now it's going to be an opportunity for us because we grab that opportunity for our business, for our organization. So right, guys, so that is how you can deal with the potential investors. So you cannot exactly say those items are bringing you opportunities or threats. It could be depend on the situation. Now, sometimes even a competitor could be an opportunity for you. Maybe the competitor decides to just shut down the business operation and leave from that country. That has happened, guys, throughout the period. Now, for example, Airtel and Hutch were about to leave from the organization, from the industry. And now they are getting a plan. I don't know whether it will work. They had a plan like this to merge all the companies. They were in the opinion of to give a good competition to the Dialog and Mobitel. So Airtel plus Etisalat plus Hutch, a combination. Plan maybe around like 5 or 6 months ago, they had a discussion, right, to integrate those 3 companies and provide a greater competition to the market leaders. Because as far as they are in the single competitors, they are not in a good position to compete them, right? Because they have very less market, percentage. So likewise, there could be sometime a threat, sometime an opportunity as well. So it's solely depend on the situation, right, guys? Now this is the quick, summary of your task, or another word, immediate business environment. Now let me again tell you the environment that which could affect you in a business in a significant manner. Even though you are in the outside business environment, it could impact a lot to the business. So that is what we know as the task environment, right? So with some practical examples, I try to give you some practical insight about this explanation. Right, guys, now you can take this snapshot, right, if you want. But anyway, the notes are there with the book. But I would recommend, right, I know that you guys are maintaining a short notebook. Now, what would be the snapshot for you? Right, there's a business. Now, this is how you study business studies. It's not just that you are just reading a note and all, right? Because most of the students say, okay, business studies, heavy theories, how we can understand and all. But if you try to, practically analyze the things, it's really interesting, guys. Especially the future lessons for you to discuss, you will see, some interesting points. So it's way how you accept it. Correct. So we have, yes, a business. So how are you going to think about that? So those are the, parties who are in the task environment. Who are those? Customers are there. Now you have to check because they should be not in the business, because why? The task environment belongs to the internal environment. So customers are outside the business, suppliers, competitors, potential investors, and substitute producers, right? So likewise, they could impact a lot. Now, for example, if you take the suppliers, it is important that they provide the right good in the right quality at the right price and the right time. And also sometimes the customer, yes. So because from the customer, you will be getting the sales figure, right? More customers, right? A good set of customers could bring you a good figure, a good number in your income statement called sales. From that only you are depending. So then because this figure will determine the end figure, right? End figure is the net profit. So having a greater sales, so you can have a greater profit as well. So it's depend on your customers. And competitors again could be opportunity or threat, and also the potential investors. The concept like dialogue and mobility, what will happen if you could not attract the your what you call the potential investors, and also the substitute product. The organization who produced the substitute products, I would say, furniture industry versus aluminium fittings. Aluminium industry, right? Not similar products, but substitute. I would say tea versus coffee. Tea versus coffee. So likewise, there are so many examples you can take for the substitute producers. Right, now shall we just take this snapshot, guys? Then I'll come to the queue that I'll try to highlight some more important points for you. Right, guys, while you are writing, you can mark your attendance as well. Right, now guys, with that, shall we all come to the page number 41 of the tube? Page number 41. I'll be sharing the screen as well. Right, now shall we write one by one what belongs to who are the parties in the task business environment? Another word, immediate business environment. Immediate business environment. Let me give you another 1 minute, and I'll come to the screen, share the screen with you. So then you can take one by one what's belong to the task environment. So what is the importance when you come to analyzing the task environment? Because we know for a fact it's external, but it could impact a lot. It could influence a lot to the existence of the business. So that is why you have to pay more attention, not only the internal factors. you have to put attention to the task environment as well. If you do not put your attention, right? So obviously it's going to have a lot of consequences you have to face. We have seen from the experience from the business world. Right. With that, I'll come to the screen, guys. If you're still writing, just let me know. I can again share the screen for you. Right. So task environment. The specific groups. Yeah, I'll give like another 1 minute as per your request. Right, guys. I forgot to tell you. You can write this content as well. So then you know in which area or which subtopic that we are discussing. This is the content. Now, if you know the content, this is how you study. So prior to looking to the note, you have to refer to the content. So what the content says? Content says business environment. So then try to remember what are the things that you know about the business environment. So how you classify, what are the definitions. Then if you when you look into the content, task or the immediate environment. So who are the parties belong to the task or the immediate environment? So what is the impact? What is the importance by paying attention to those factors? And again, we have not touched to this part, macro business. Again, you have like 8 parties or 8 kind of environment which affect in the your macro business environment, which is in the external business environment. Correct. So you also can have the content. So you have some sort of idea, right, in which point we are studying. So get the idea behind of those. So that is why now, guys, if we remember, if you check now, let's say subject like accounting, right now preparation of financial statement, standards and all. Now those have been everything be computerized, right? So everything once you enter the transactions and events, you can generate the reports. So it's not about nowadays being more focused on the technical set of skills, right? Be more focused on the teamwork, how you can work with the people, so how you analyze the situation, things like that. So that is why in the business studies subject now they have more weightage to the what we call to the results as well, and plus they are checking out. If you check the last year paper, so many practical insights that they are checking to whether the student know the practical inside of this rather than having heavy theoretical parts. So that's being a trend now. They're trying to check the practical inside of the theoretical things. Behind the theories, what are the practical inside that you can check? So it's more important that you know a lot of examples, you know what's then and there, what's happening around the world, around the country and all. So then if you check now, you'll realize, guys, we'll be having the past paper discussion. So we have discussed, I think only 2 or 3 days, the past papers. We'll be having a separate session to complete the past paper to you. So then you can have more idea about the weightage. Now, if you think for your information, 2020, the last examination from this lesson, they are like 13% weightage, which means out of the 100 marks of the paper, 13 marks have been allocated from this lesson number 1. So one of it important lesson. So likewise, the weightage throughout the last 5 years is more than 10%, which means from the 100 marks, there will be 10 marks allocated from this lesson. So the meaning is that when you know well, when you know A to Z from this lesson, it's 10 mark or more than 10, it's guaranteed at your exam. So you realize when we're doing the past papers, so when we're doing the paper analysis as well, so you can have an idea how important this lesson, even though this is our first lesson of your syllabus. Right, so with that message, let me come to the screen. So shall we highlight a couple of parts? So shall we complete those? The specific organizations or groups that influence and belong to the external environment. Now, this is the part you need to highlight. Get the idea here. Yes, it could be specific organization or groups. Yes, specific organization, competitors, right? So those are another organizations, suppliers, or could be sometimes groups, right? Could be customer group is influencing. And belong to the external, yes, belong to the external of the business are known as the immediate environment or the task environment. Now, shall we write the first party or the customers? So without the customers, we not be able to get those sales figures. Now, talking about the customers, guys, I saw this really nice post. I think you might have seen this. Customer is king, right? Customer is king. And so they have put a kind of a little bit notice. Customer is king. Customer is king. So then the next line is king never bargains. King never bargains. Now, for example, sometimes the customers ask for some discounts, price reductions for some products. So they are shown like this: customer is king. Yes, we have heard about that. And the next line is king never bargains. So, like guys, the importance of the customer. But anyway, treating your customers pretty much important to manage your income sources to the business, right? Buyers of the goods and services of a business are the consumers, right? Now, I hope you know the difference between the consumer and the customer. Let me clarify this as well. As far as I can remember, I clarified this concept. What do you think, guys? The consumer versus customer is that same thing? Consumer versus customer. What do you think? Sometimes could be the same. Sometimes, now, for example, I go to the bookshop and purchase 3 marker pens. 3 marker pens. 3 marker pens. So I'm the customer and I'm also the consumer, because I only have a sister and a brother. They don't come to this room and they don't write anything. So they are not consuming this one. I'm the person who paid for this. Yes, the person who paid, customer. And I'm the person who using this. So I'm the consumer as well. Now let's say your parent bought a couple of stationeries for you and bring to you. In that manner, you are the consumer, right? Because you'll be using that product, or could be sometimes service, but you are not the person who paid for that, right? So your parent become the customer, and while you are become the consumer. Now most of the time, for example, let's say some sort of kids products, obviously consumer and customer is different, right? Because they are not going to go and purchase, but sometimes it could be the same, consumer and the customer, right? So just a reminder on that 2 concepts. But most of the time we treat this as in a similar manner, right? Nothing much different between 2 concepts, right? Factors such as awareness of consumers, income of the consumers will create opportunities for some businesses and will create threats. Yes, so having well awareness of the consumers, so the consumer know well about the product, so then you cannot lie on them. So they know A to Z. So then when you market that product, you have to disclose everything. Sometimes, guys, now let's say when we don't have the knowledge about a vehicle, let's say you want to purchase a vehicle or you want to purchase a mobile phone or laptop, when you don't have the knowledge about the features of that product, right? So there's a high chance that they can, do some kind of, I would say, providing some false information to you because you not know about the technical stuff. So that is why now, if you are very aware now, let's say you are a computer hardware engineer, right? Let's imagine you are a computer hardware engineer and you have to go and purchase a laptop. So then you will tell A to Z to that sales assistant. So he or she can never lie on you because you know A to Z. Now let's say you are a motor mechanical engineer, right? You know in every part of the vehicle. So you have that knowledge. So having an awareness of the consumers. What do you think, guys? It's a threat for the business because you have to provide everything. They will ask so many questions from you, right? So having well awareness consumers, it's providing a kind of a, I would say not an opportunity, it's kind of a threat, right? Because you have to disclose a lot of information to them. It's not easy to sell a laptop to a hardware engineer, right? So because he'll check from A to Z, so we get the maximum quality of the product. Likewise, and also income of consumers here. So having a higher income source of consumers, yes, obviously this become a, now when you say income, higher income, guys. So higher income, yes, it's an opportunity, right? It's a favorable factor for you, right? Opportunity. And the low income would be a threat for the business. Okay, so those are some of the factors that I can discuss with you. Right. The next thing about the competitors. So we were talking about the competitors. So second one, please write the competitors. So we discussed so many examples, if you remember, competitors. Again, we'll be talking about the competitors in a great manner, which is in grade 13, lesson number 14, your marketing management. Now, please highlight the fact the businesses that provide similar goods and services. That's why I feel Pepsi-Cola and Coca-Cola, you do not see much difference. Yes, it should be different, but those are similar goods. And services that of the business and competitors are the business. So please write a couple of examples. You know a lot of examples. You can write, let's say, Dialog versus Mobile, Apple versus Samsung, Pepsi-Cola versus Coca-Cola, right? What are so many options? Now, for example, let's say that this is some airlines, right? Emirates versus Qatar Airways, right? Something like two banks, right? So they all are providing similar services. Two insurance companies, Celico versus SoftLogic, Keels versus Food City. So these are providing similar set of goods or services. There are so many examples that we can see, right? So those belong to the competitor group, so they can influence a lot. Here, entry of new competitors. Now imagine a new bank is coming to play. A new bank is coming to the market. And now it's going to be a threat, right? It's an unfavorable situation. A new supermarket chain is coming, right? So now you know that along with the, apart from the Keels and Food City, now they're like SoftLogic, they have the SoftLogic Glowmark chain, Arpico is there, and also Laugh is also there kind of, right? So providing a lot of competition. So, entry of a new competitor is a definitely a kind of a threat. For example, when you say in Sri Lanka, we only had the Pick.me, right? When it comes to taxi app. But nowadays, if you see like Uber came later then, so there are so many taxi apps. So in that manner, it's now kind of a competition. So that is why entry of new competitors brings you the unfavorable condition or a threat. Unfavorable means a threat. Existing competitors leaving the market. Yes, that is an opportunity because why? Now let's say Uber. Uber decided to leave from the Sri Lankan market. So like there are some instances that has been happened. So some of the competitors say we are leaving from this country. So we sold all the investments and we are leaving the country. So likewise, it's gonna be an opportunity for you, right? So O means opportunity. So providing different facilities with goods and services by competitors, etc. Yes, correct. Now let's say they are providing a better service, right? A better quality customer service than you. So then obviously that's going to be a threat for you because why? Then the customers will go to that place because why? Everyone needs to get a good quality service for a reliable price. So likewise, there could be some examples. Now here's the suppliers. Now everything guys I discussed, so I'm just trying to give you some practical insight. Suppliers, so that's why I'm sharing the screen and right with you. Yes, we know for a fact that the individuals or the institution who provide the resources, yes, now resources in terms of could be the raw materials, could be machineries. There are so many resources. If you remember the lesson that we discussed, the types of resources, right? Land, labor, capital, those that we discussed, the resources, the factors of production. Apart from that, the time, knowledge, and everything. So the providers of those resources we known as the suppliers, and we need them, right? Because unless otherwise we will not be able to conduct our business operation. Now imagine for the Mansi company, let's say the supplier of sugar, right? The supplier who provides sugar to the Mansi company, let's say just suddenly stop supplying. So their whole production process would be a halt, because why? They are not in a position to conduct the production without the sugar. So likewise, the key suppliers can play a major role by impacting to your business. Correct. So likewise, the factors such as providing or not providing quality materials. So providing quality materials, an opportunity. It's a good thing for us. And sorry, here not providing, right? So not providing is a threat. And providing is going to become an opportunity for you. On time, can you remember the things that I said, right? Here you check the checklist, right quantity, at the right time, at the right place, right, at the right price. Or after right list. So then only we can say, okay, now this is a trust, the supply that we can trust, the supply we can rely on. So in that manner, it becomes a great opportunity, right? So provide all the quality. Now let's say guys, imagine a hotel, a resort, a restaurant. Imagine providing the fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, quality things. So then their final output would be kind of great, right? So if the supply is not providing the fresh products, not the fresh vegetables or the fruits, so then what will happen to the end meal, right? So in that manner, the customers would be disappointed. So in that manner, it's a great opportunity where they provide the quality source of materials. Correct, but could be a threat as well when they are not, providing on time, or not with the higher prices, or not with the standard quality. Correct. Right. Now here you can say the substitute producers, substitute products or producers. Substitute producers. Those who supply alternative products or services for the product that the business supply are the producers of substitute products. Now, for example, like I said, furniture versus aluminium, right? Or furniture versus plastic. But we should not prefer plastic, but furniture versus steel. Furniture industry versus steel, right? Or furniture versus aluminium. Because if we could not find the furniture product, so then you can go for a substitute products, right? Or coffee versus, I would say, tea, right? Those are not similar, but anyway, a substitute product. Correct. So that could provide you the opportunities or the threats. So availability of the plentiful substitutes, it's a threat. You have so many substitutes. So it's going to be a threat anyway. Correct. Now, shall we write the next one? Potential investors. Those who expect to enter to the market and create opportunities and threats as well, right? Yes. So I explained the situation, how they could become your opportunities and threats, right? So when the potential investors come and invest in your business organization, it's going to be a great opportunity for you. But if they invest in another business organization, could provide you a threat because they can increase their capacities, they can increase their facilities. Right. So guys, with that, that is the end of your task business environment. So can we pick on those? Yes, we discussed those. So customers, suppliers, competitors, producers of the substitute products, and the potential businessmen or the potential investors. Now, shall we start the macro business environment? Right. Under the macro business environment, there are 8 sub-environments that we have to discuss, which is the political, legal, technological, economic. So likewise, there are 8 sub-environments that we have to discuss, right? So shall we begin with the macro business environment? Right, so shall I remove this part? So I'm referring to page number 42. Correct. Now, which the macro business environment, guys, so which belongs to the external environment, could provide still, right, opportunities and threats. That is the part, because anyway it's in external, could provide you the favorable things, right? Favorable things to the business, which is opportunities, and threats, which is unfavorable or disadvantage type of things. Right. Now, this is the concept, guys. This is the concept. The macro business environment, you are not in a position to control, right? Control. Because can you control, as a business, can you control the political environment? Can you change the laws, right? So that's the question arises. Right, now with that, so a couple of things. A macro business environment is changing rapidly, right? Which we not in a position to control 100%. Now, guys, now something like this COVID, right, happened as a result of what? As a result of this macro business environment, there's something called the global business environment, right? Because it was not a virus from our country, because we had deal with the rest of the world, so then only we are suffering, right? So as a world, so likewise, the macro business environment could provide you a lot of opportunities. Now, along with something like the Zoom platform, so it's not a product of Sri Lanka, right? It's a product of US that everyone is using. That now even the Sri Lankan students, right, teachers, lectures, organization use Zoom. At the same time, the students in US, students in UK also using the same platform. But could be, some changes due to those infrastructure facilities, proper connection and all, many of those countries. But still, being able to use, thanks to what? Thanks to Zoom, plus thanks to the technological environment. Right now, the technology is there. So that is how you can grab, right? You can grab a lot of opportunities from the macro business environment, a lot of good things to your business. And also something like, threats also could be there. So then what should be your target? You have to grab the opportunities. You have to grab the opportunities, guys, while you are minimizing the threats, right? So you have to grab the opportunity. You have to see the good side of that. Now, you know that every coin has a two sides. So likewise, try to see the good side of this. Now, even this, guys, this online class thing, now most of the students find comfortable, right? So they think, and especially now, for example, especially for the outstation students. So they can also join. And now in this class, and also the 2022, so we have some of the students from different part of the country. Right? So if we do not conduct a class like this, maybe they have not an opportunity, right, to participate like this. So likewise, so try to get the good side of the. So I'm just taking an example. So likewise, so in those set of 8, right, environments, so there could be bring you favorable things, unfavorable things, right? Now when you come to the first, shall we take one by one? Right, political environment, political. Now, not a good time to talk about the politics, right? Okay, now here I'm not here to talk about the politics. It's the political environment, right? Now we know for a fact that the politicians, right? So politician, the environment, those are the public agents, I would say, right? So on behalf of to represent the general public, so we elect. So they go to those legislations and make decisions, right? Make policies, policy makers. Actually, the correct word for the politician should be the policy makers. Policy makers, but I don't see that. We don't see that they are doing, right, something like policy making. So that's pretty much important. And again, anyway, you have a lesson in your not the next lesson, lesson number 3, government and business. You'll be taking anyway this political environment, how they consist of the government and all. Now at this stage, something like there are a couple of policies. Now the political environment, you have the policy makers, and what are those policies? Right now, guys, mainly you have something called fiscal policy. Fiscal policy. Now the fiscal policy is about the government income and expenses. Government income and expense. Now when you say government income, yes, most of the time tax, right? I would say like 90% of the government income through tax, right? We know that once we activate a new data package, right, there would be some sort of a tax, right? When we purchase this marker pen, there's a tax. So when you purchase a book, there's a tax. So don't think that you're not paying tax, right? Now, for example, if you purchase 100, card, mobile card, it's like around like more than 30 rupees is tax. So you're only using 70 rupees. So likewise. So income tax could be the out of taxation, but taxable income. And also the non-tax income could be there, non-tax. Could be some profit of the government. So fines and all are someone fines. So those are charges, fines, so those are belong to the non-tax. So likewise, expenses also we have like expenses on health, education, capital, infrastructure and all. So likewise, so those could impact to the business, right, in an opportunity or threat. Now, for example, policy makers are now decided to increase what? Increase the fuel prices. Now, guys, what do you think? Now, there's ongoing topic, right? Situation about those fuel prices. Fuel prices. Now, what do you think? Yes, it's going to be opportunity. It could be opportunity as well. Opportunity for whom? Right? All the a company like IOC, right? Because the companies who distribute the oil could be an opportunity. That is why. Now, this is an important point. You cannot exactly say a situation is a good or bad. It solely depends on the that company or that the business. Now, as a generally, you will say could be something bad thing or happen to the businesses. But something like like I said, company like Zoom, company like internet providers, they have double and triple their profits throughout the last half an year. Correct. That's why a situation you can exactly say could be an opportunity or a favorable or unfavorable. It's had to be checked or analyzed with the nature of the business. Obviously, something like the tourism, it's going to be hit badly, right? Unfavorable. So likewise, but internet service providers, it's a good opportunity for them. So that is the case. Now let's say the policymakers decide to increase the fuel prices. Increase the fuel prices. So definitely going to be a lot of threat to most of the businesses, right? So increase fuel prices. Why? Because the policymakers take the decision, or they try to impose new tax, Now you know that there's a tax code, something like VAT and all, value added tax. So they try to increase the tax percentage, tax, right? So tax percentage, now let's say 8% to 12% taxation. So it's gonna be a obviously threat, right? Most time for the businesses because the price would be increased. Even though you can transfer the tax liability, right, to another person, but the prices would increase, right? So likewise in the political environment, right, the policymakers make the decision, so those decisions could have an impact to those opportunities and threats. Now let's say something like this: the government decided to construct a new highway. Now you know that a new highway is undergoing to Central Expressway, right? To Colombo, I think from Paliagud, sorry, not from Paliagud, from Kadawatha to Mirigama, then from from Kurunegala, so then to Kandy. So now it could be an opportunity, right? It could be the opportunity for the people who live in Central Province or who live in Kandy, or who are doing the businesses, who transporting goods from Kandy to Colombo daily basis, gonna be an opportunity because they are going to benefit for them. So likewise, so government those set of expenses, and also maybe that contract product, right? The contraction product or that contract to be offered to a company. So that is going to be an opportunity for them. So likewise, you have to decide, so how you're going to grab those in the political environment could be opportunities and threats. Now let's say something like, guys, now there's something called political stability. Political stability. Now, I don't know whether you guys remember this. There was an instance in, I think, 2017 or 18. There was a question saying, who is the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka? Right? There was some political instability. Right? There was some sort of instability between the power. Right? So in that manner, it's not good for the businesses. Why? Investors, they lose the confidence. Because now, let's say you are an investor. Do you like to go and invest in Syria? Do you like to go and invest in Afghanistan? Let's say you have some sort of funds. But what do you think? Would you like to go and invest in Singapore, New Zealand? Yes, for that you will be say yes, right? So that is why. So the political stability in a country provide a lot of investor confidence. So in that manner, you will be able to grab a lot of opportunities when the political stability. So when there's a lot of political issues, right? So then obviously the investor lose the confidence. So it becomes a threat. So none of the investors are coming to the country. So political crisis, things like that. So that is why you have to, have some sort of sound knowledge about that sort of situation and try to identify whether it's belong to an opportunity or threat. You cannot exactly say, okay, that incident going to be opportunity for sure. It's basically depend on the nature of the business, Right, guys. So this is about the political environment. So we one by one discuss karamu. So with that, shall we come to the page number 42? So I'll give you a couple of examples as well. The broad environment of a business, yes, and influential groups be known as the macro business environment. Yes, those broad environment. So first one, political. In a country, the policies of the government will have an influence on the business. Yes, so government making a policy, right, to extend those travel restrictions. So that it will definitely going to impact to the businesses. The business have to conduct, by considering. The businessmen have to conduct their business by considering policies. Now, when the government has put travel restriction, can we open our businesses, guys? No, we are not in a position to do like that. Let's say we are a seller of essential products. So all the essential products have been given the permission to open. Now we have a kind of, let's say, clothing shop. So not opportunity. So it's not going to be work. So that is why we have a direct impact on their decisions. So the government agencies. Now what do you mean by, guys? Government agencies which means the government organization, right? It could be the departments, it could be cooperatives, government. Now, for example, let's say somewhere around some sort of a, I would say, health ministry, right? They are taking a decision, right? Extend the travel restrictions or to maybe relax the travel restrictions. So it will have a lot of great impact to the business. So political policies, yes. What is the policy? The policy in terms of foreign trade, whether we are only dealing with China and India, or whether we try to deal with all the countries, America, Japan, and all. So likewise, so it has a lot of consequences. So in that manner, it's important that those policies be, set up as per the favor of the businessman. It will not provide adverse impact. Correct. So, and also when you say policies, you can mention the fiscal policy, and we will be studying about this in our lesson number 3, the government and the business in a neat manner. Right. So, and also the existing government affect the business. Yes. Business should try to get use of the opportunities. Yes. We have to get the opportunity, but it's a question nowadays. What are the opportunities that we can get from the government or political environment? But as well as could be threats as well, guys. So can we write this example? Let me share. Example. So given the box, provided box, you can write just government's political vision. What is their vision, right? With the especially now, for example, I would say the vision of the international affairs. Whether we are borrowing more debts or we are not borrowing, so likewise, policies could be the fiscal policy. No need to worry about these guys. Fiscal anyway will be learning in the lesson number 3. Even we can put a star mark and say lesson number 3. Following open economic policies, you know what happened after 1977, right? As a country, we adopted open economic policies. Previously, we have a closed economy. අපේ ඉකොනොමි එක වහලා තිබ්බේ. ඒ කියන්නේ අපිට ඉම්පෝර්ට් කරන්න බෑ ගොඩක් වෙලාවට. මම උඩලා අහලා බලන්න ඔයගලන්ගේ අම්ලතාවලෙන් කොහොමද 1977 the situation, right? Nowadays not like these guys. A very hard situation. Now imagine a life without your mobile phone, life without WhatsApp, the life without the internet. So we were not importing most of the goods those days. We had to use all the locally produced goods. ලංකාවේ ඇතුළ හදපු විතර අපි use කර හිටියේ, right? Closed economy එක. අපි වැඩි products import කරේ නැහැ වෙනත් countries වලින්. So we did not import most of the goods. So but after 1977 we adopted open economic policy, so we opened the economy to the world. So where anyone can import or export freely. Open economic policies. So those are the decisions, right? Those are the decisions which impacted business a lot. Business a lot. Right. So let me allocate another 1 minute for this. So then I'll come to our next environment in the macro business environment, which is the legal environment. Legal environment. Now you have to know the clear difference, guys, between the legal and political. Could be checking the examination. Sometimes you might think it's comes under political, but something actually comes under legal. So there's a clear difference because even the political structure changes, right? Even the government is changing. Sometimes the rules are remaining same. So likewise, I know the difference between the political environment and the legal environment. So political is based on making policies, right? Policies. The legal is the enforced rules and regulations. Clear difference is there. Correct. Now, when it comes to the legal environment, you can see, yes, now it's about the government, right? Rules and the regulation that they have imposed, that we have to follow those, right? Something like quarantine law, we would say. Now, when you say the legal environment, you can basically see there are some laws and regulations, and there are some institutes which perform those, and there are some designations, some posts, some authorized persons. I know from your knowledge, you might have heard about the Companies Act, right? Companies Act number 7 of 2007. Companies Act number 7 of 2007. Now, if you wish to start a company, you must incorporate, right? You have to register as a company, right? So in that manner, I would say Companies Act number 7 of 2007. Now there's an institute that you have to go, the Companies Registration Department, right? If you have forgotten your all-level knowledge, anyway, this will be discussing again in the lesson number 4, types of business organization. So there's a law and there's an organization who perform that law, and there's a designation. Now, when the law, right, when the law is the Companies Act number 7 of 2007, which says that if you are a company, you have to register or you have to incorporate. That is the actually technical word. You have to incorporate as a company. Yes, now where do you go and register? Because in the government, you see a lot of government agencies, a lot of government organizations. So where you have to go? Companies Registration Department. Companies Registration Department. Correct. Now, in the Companies Registration Department, there will be a person, right, who is responsible for the activities of the Companies Registration Department. That is the company registrar. Company registrar is there. So, likewise, there's a designation. Now, and also, if you somewhere out, you might have heard in the if you watch news about the Consumer Affairs Authority, or that පාරිභෝගික සේවා අධිකාරිය. Consumer Affairs Authority. They go and check the shops, whether they have marked the prices in high, in high prices, whether they have hide the stocks. The gas something like about to increase, so people try to hide the stock, right? So then they can sell for higher prices later. So likewise, they'll check on those. So there's a law, Consumers Affairs Authority Act. No issue with that. We have a lesson about this in the lesson number 3. So I will write Consumer Affairs Authority Act. Consumer Affair. To protect the consumer, guys. To protect the consumer, government has established a law. So Consumer Affairs Authority Act. Authority Act. And for that, they have separate institute to perform that task, which is Consumer Affairs Authority. You have the Consumer Affairs Authority. And the head of the authority would be maybe the chairman or the president, right? Chairman of Consumer Affairs Authority, CAA, chairman or the president, right? So who take care of, who has a responsible towards, right, in order to conduct those acts. So likewise, there are maybe institutes, maybe let's say Sri Lanka Standard Institute, right? We have talked about a lot past out a couple of past months. Then Standard Institute taken standard up now. So then, so there's no standard in the Standard Institute. So likewise, because the Standard Institute is there to provide a standard for the product, but they are not doing their job well. So likewise, the government has some kind of a law they are established, and there's a specific organization who perform that law and check whether people who are not following that, and there's a person for that. So that's what we can say, the legal environment. So it affects a lot, right? Now, for example, let's say when they impose a law, and now they are trying to impose a law, guys. If you watch the news about the fertilizers, like the chemical fertilizer versus organic fertilizer. What do you call rasayanika pohara, carbonika pohara, right? Chemical fertilizers versus, I would say, organic fertilizers. So now they're trying to impose a rule, right, to ban import of the chemical fertilizers. So now it's going to have some opportunities as well as threats for the businesses. Now let's say you are a business who are importing chemical fertilizer to the country. Now no longer you can do your business. Imagine how powerful their decisions are. So it's going to be a threat. Now the same thing happened, right? They banned the vehicle import. Now it's been like more than, I would say, 1.5 years, right? So now let's say, now not on the vehicle, most of the goods they have banned, which is something like vehicle, something like ceramic products, tile and ceramic products, right? So likewise, there is another set of products. So imagine, so they try to impose a law saying not to import those, maybe to encourage the domestic manufacturer. But if you were in the business, let's say you are a vehicle importer, now what you're trying to do? So there's no business for you. So likewise, so have a lot of impacts about those decisions. So following a rule is a base now, because you cannot surpass the rule, because there would be again the court procedures, legal actions against you. Let's say you are a company but not registered Companies Act, or maybe you are registered but you are not fulfilling their requirements. Now, for your information, for a company, guys, there's some higher tax rates. Now the tax rate is around like 24%. Let's say you earn a profit of 100, you have to pay 24 rupees to the government as a tax. Imagine you earn a profit of 100 rupees, you have to pay 24 rupees to the government. So let's say that you have registered as a company, right? But you are not paying the required tax. So then the company's registration department or the company registrar will take actions against you, right? So that is why, following the, for example, let's say they try to increase this tax percentage. So try to become a threat for you. So likewise, in the legal environment, could be sometimes good things for you, right? Legally impose things, and also could be, threat for you as well. Now let me share you this thing. Now let's say that government is putting a law, you cannot recruit foreign workers, to the business. When you are doing a business, you cannot recruit, or maybe there's a limitation. Maximum you can only have like 10%. Now, if you see most of the construction industry, they have like most Chinese workers are working. So we are struggling with the unemployment. Our people are working, looking for jobs, while the foreigners are coming to the country and they are working. So like that. So in that one, maybe they are putting a law like that. So in that one, it's going to become maybe a threat for your business, because maybe you are trying to get those workers for a cheap labor. So likewise, there are a lot of consequences, especially like I always say, it's depend on the situation, that depend on the nature of the business. So sometimes a rule, right, could be good for you. Now let's say something like this. Now let's say travel restriction. Now the rule is imposed. The quarantine rules, right? They try to impose. What will happen? Let's say you are a online retailer. Now your business, something like say Dara's example, you are one of a growing online retailer. So provide goods and services. So the customers order online, you try to deliver. Now it's kind of a good thing for you. Why? Because people are unable to go and travel, but they try to order online. So likewise, so sometimes a rule, right, or some sort of a legal thing could be an opportunity plus as well as a threat for you. Now, this is the structure. I would say there are rules and regulations, laws and regulations, and have institutes who try to verify whether you are following those, and plus the specific designations also there. Right, now we have kind of a small table, guys. If you come to the page number 42, before that we have to write a definition, right? Let me share that first. So then I'll come to the book, right? So let me provide you that definition. Shall you write government acts, rules and regulations will have an impact on the business in that country. Government acts, rules and regulations that have impact on the business in that country known as the legal environment. Right, so with that, shall we come to this box? Right, shall we guys take, okay, sorry, I'll share the screen. So I'll come to the board. So rules and regulations, you have the Companies Act. You have the Consumer Affairs Authority Act. So actually this is Act number 9, Act number 9 of 2003. Act number 9 of 2003. So here guys, it's Companies Registration Department, right? So here the department is the authority. I hope it's visible and you can get the idea. Right now, guys, what you can do, you have the your past paper with you. Don't wait until I finish the lesson because once you wait like that, for that you have a lot of question to do. So just go through once the the week our session is over. So just go with the past paper tube and we'll try to pick, right, what are the questions that you can do. So then you can finish those and keep. So let's say now this week we have finished the lesson. So the next week we'll be starting the past paper discussion. So for that week we have a lot of question to do. But if you can manage that, no issue, right? Because you don't have much work, right, these days after O-level, right? But if you don't want to have a backlog, right, so you can daily basis check and complete the questions as you can. So just go through, at least if you're not trying to answer, just try to go through and see what type of question that they have asked from this particular lesson number 1. Correct. Now, as the time limitation, guys, for the economic, I'll take you the next week. Economic environment, technology, take you the next week. Social and cultural, global, natural, and I'll take next as the demographic environment. I'll take this next. So I'll discuss. So then we can wrap up the session. Right, let me allocate you another 1 minute for this. I know that we are already done, but for everyone's concern, I'll be giving like another 1 minute. So right, that's why. So try to have the practical insight of this. What will happen when the government impose rules and regulations? Right, guys. If you are still not watching the news, so I'm again and again telling you, I don't recommend that you nowadays you are not watching the TV, right? So you are in the YouTube most of the time. So try to subscribe one of those news channel, so then you can basically listen. So then you'll be very up to date, guys. You know those, right? Now when I'm discussing the example, you should have some sort of knowledge. At least we can right? So it be a lot of a good thing for you. So otherwise you might think, what he's saying, we don't know anything about this example that is discussing, right? So it's important that to be up to date. Right, guys, I hope you are done with this. Let me remove. If you're still writing, just let me know, right? Drop me a message. Right, now shall we discuss the demographic environment? Kind of a new word for you, right? Demographic environment. Demographic environment. Now, that's a one word that you have to remember. When you say the demographic environment, you have to remember just one word. Now, what's that one word? It's all about the word It's all about the world. Population. Now, how do you think a country's population can make you, right, either opportunities or threats to the business? Population. Now, currently, Sri Lanka, we have around 21 million. But our neighboring countries, India, Pakistan, China is having a great population. Even there are some popular, restrictions as well. In China, you cannot have, I think, 2 kids, right? If I'm not mistaken. So they have a rule like that, one child policy to control the, the growing population. But countries like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, high population area. Correct. So when you say population, guys, there are so many sub factors you have to think. So the business environment relates to the population we known as the demographic environment. Now, it's not just about the population. There are so many factors. I would say yes. Again, the total number of the total population. And then it's something like the population growth rate. And also it's about the age structure. So for the total this 21 million, yes, you can analyze kids now below 10 years, right? Teenagers, right? Youth, mid-age, right? So likewise, senior citizens, right? You can analyze. I would say the age structure. So how do you analyze? Let's say like 5 years, right? 5 years. So like from 5 years to like 11, like kids. So you have teenagers from 30, right? From 30 to 90, right? So teens. So yeah, like 20 to I would say like maybe 35, right? Middle age. So maybe again 35 to 50 again, some sort of middle age or kind of you'd say. So maybe retired, right? 55 to 65, right? Again, let's say like 65 to 75 or 80. So likewise, we can analyze the age structure. Now, what is the benefit to the business? Now, let's say when you analyze the total population in that particular area, you will see there are like more population. Now, as far as concerned, in Sri Lanka's population, we have more adult, age structure. More adults are there because then that provide a lot of opportunities plus threats for the businesses. Now, something like for education industry, so it's not going to be opportunity because why adults are not no longer going to study. Now, let's say when you have more population, like you have the age structure between let's say 13 to 19 and also 5 to 12. So more population out of this 21 million. So there are more population, or more percentage from these kids and the teenagers, which is good for the education industry. Now, something like good for the health industry, maybe 55, 65 age structure. And also not only that, the gender analysis also we can do, right? Along with the age structure, the gender analysis. So which is based on the male versus female, right? How much? So male and female. Now, you know that there are countries, now even in Sri Lanka, we have more female population. It's not guys 50-50 in Sri Lanka. It is also like, it's like 52 or 3 into 48. So you have more female population. There are some countries, Japan, like it's, having more female population. It's like more than 60% in Japan, female, population. And also countries like Russia, right, so have the same situation. So it will have going to a lot of impact to the businesses, right? So especially maybe the opportunities and threats. So maybe when there are more female population, maybe there are some demand for some goods, right? Maybe salons, maybe fashion items and all. So likewise, so maybe less kind of demand for some sort of products. So likewise, maybe when there's high male percentage, so there's again a different opportunities and threats. So likewise, so the total population, the total population increases. Sometimes it's an opportunity for the business. Like I said, let's say toothpaste, toothbrush, and all. So everyone consume, right? So when you say the population increases, the needs and wants going to be increased. And also population growth rate also have an impact, and also the age structure. So based on the age structure, have some sort of specific needs and wants. Now maybe you are in the right, you are in this teenage level or about to the youth level, right? I would say youth here, right? Youth, and you are, it's still the teenage level, right? Teenage level. So there are some specific needs that you want, right, in this particular age structure. So the businesses might find the solution. So this, let's say that they have more the population from this age structure, so they can find solutions for those structure. So likewise, having opportunities and threats, and also maybe the household patterns, right? Household patterns, and so the education level, and also comes on this demographic environment. Remember, so that could be bring, right? It's based on the population. So the population you can analyze based on the those criteria. So then each and every criteria, might provide an opportunity or a threat to your business. So you have to manage and you have to have a great idea about what's the population in. Now, for example, if you think, guys, a country like India, they have most number of Facebook accounts. So more internet users in world, which is India. So that is why companies like Google, Facebook, they are more focused on Asian region. Why? Because of the high population. So high population means high users. Now, if you take Instagram, if you take Facebook and all, right? So their income or their capacity based on number of users. So most number of users from Asian region because of the high population. Like maybe one person having two or more accounts sometimes. So imagine things like that. So more internet usage. So companies are focusing more population, more internet usage anyway. So companies have to increase their capacities. So and also especially let's say, but maybe there's high population, but the age structure is like 65 to 80. So there's very less chance that they use the internet. Maybe they are used to read newspapers or just watch internet. Watch not the internet, watch television. But if you have more population in this area, maybe they are not watching. So I'm not a person who watching television. I'm not watched television for like I don't know, like 5 or 6 years. I haven't watched. Right? So likewise. But I watch YouTube, so it's now pretty much same the television, right? So all the daily dramas, news, and all everything the YouTube. Correct. So likewise, so based on that's why, guys. So based on the population, you come up with some criteria. So then you can analyze whether it's going to be a good or a bad situation, or else favorable or unfavorable, or other words, simply opportunity or threat for the business, right? So let me come to the relevant page, guys. So I'll be providing you the criteria. You also can have this as a kind of a short note for you, right? This, then you can have some idea in your short notebook. Okay, so let me come to the page number 45 and give you the criteria list. Right. එහෙනම් ලබන සතිය ලෑස්ති වෙලා ඉන්න. We are not finished yet, guys. Okay, for the quiz. So we'll have some fun next week. We have the class. So the last hour we utilize for that. Okay. Good. So with that, let me share the screen, guys. There are a couple of things you have noted down. Right, let me allocate another 1 minute for this, then I'll come to the screen and you can write the criteria in the given box. So I'm referring to page number 45, page number 45. Yes, guys, the gender percentage, I would say, right? Gender percentage, like to male to female. So it could be 50-50 likewise, or more males, more females. So that will have a lot of, that incident or that kind of a percentage will provide the opportunities or threats to the businesses. So age structure, analyze the age structure, because based on the each age structure, there are needs and wants are different, right? Their needs and wants are different. Needs and wants are different. Well, right. So shall we take those page number 45 within given box? Size of the population, growth rate, gender, right? Male, female, age structure, composition of the ethnicity. Yes, so we have to consider about the ethnicity. So because maybe they have some, based on their identity, right? So ethnicity or the identity, the level of education, composition of the family. Maybe some family have more members, less members. So because it will have a lot of opportunities or threats, and also household patterns. Everything just comes under those demographic environment. So the factors related to the population. Remember well. So then you should be able to answer the question in the exam based on the population, which is the demographic environment. Demographic environment. Right, guys. So with that, that is the end of today's session. So thank you for joining. And so I'll not end the call. You can take the notes and you can leave. If you have any question, I'll be online. Right. Just unmute yourself. You can ask. You can speak. Right. Because we have, this will go as a group class. No issue. If you have anything, you can speak it out. So yes. So if that's so. We'll be seeing on with the next week, guys. So thank you for joining and stay safe. So we'll be see you on next week. So if you have still writing, so take your time, no issue. I'll not end the call. Right. Thanks, you guys. Thanks.